go. It's another Sunday, and I'm putting another video together to get us through another week. I think this is going to be a little bit of a harder week. So we're going to start off today, a little bit of review. Some of you guys felt you didn't do well on the quizzes last week, but you actually did fine. It's a hard thing to do multiple choice on, but you're adapting to the questions well, and that's what we needed to do. So we're going to do a little review on that. Then we're going to talk about solving for y. Super huge, important skill that you know what solving for y means. We're going to practice 4 of those tonight for homework. Tomorrow during our conference, we'll talk about those 4 questions. And then Tuesday morning, I'll throw out another video about what's coming up next. So it's kind of a big week. Trying to wrap up last week by tomorrow, get that figured out, that you actually are doing fine. You do know how to do slope, and you know how to do a T-chart. Introduce slope-intercept form on Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're going to do the same stuff next week and get this chapter kind of going. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about last week a little bit. Last week, we wanted to be able to do a T-chart, and we wanted to be able to find slope. T-chart is the worst possible way to graph a line, and by the end of next week, you're going to have 2 or 3 other ways that are much faster. But we start with T-chart so you get an understanding of what we're doing. But we can't do a T-chart on a multiple choice test. So this is how they ask the questions on multiple choice tests. They want to know if that point of negative 2, 7 is actually on the line y equals 4x plus 10. It's a substitution question. It's input-output boxes, just like elementary school. It just looks different. It's perceived to be different, and you guys kind of get a lock on your brain saying, oh, it's 7th grade algebra. It's getting harder. It's not getting harder. It just looks different. That's your x coordinate. That's your y coordinate. So for x, you put in a negative 2 right there, and for y, you put in 7 right there. And you just want to know if the sentence is true when you're done. So I took the original problem, y equals 4x plus 10. In for the y, I put 7. In for the x, I put a negative 2. A number and a letter next to each other means to multiply. So I multiplied those 2 together and got a negative 8. Then I add the 10, and I got 2. So the question is asking, does 7 equal 2? And that's a no. So if you were to graph this is what we did last week. To do this, to graph y equals 4x plus 10, we did a T-chart. We had put in the negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Those are the numbers we typically use, so we stay close to the origin. And when I put a negative 1 in for the x, I went 4 times the negative 1, got negative 4, added 10, and got 6. So when x was a negative 1, y was 6. So I graphed negative 1 up 6 and put a green dot right there. Then I put in 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 10 is 10. So when x is 0, y is 10. So I graphed that right here, went over 0, up 10. Then I put in a positive 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 10 is 14. So I got a 14 here, so I graphed 1, 14. I couldn't get 2, 18 in, it's off my chart over here, but I have 3 points. It only takes 2 points to make a line, I make you do 4. There's our 3 points. The question was a negative 2, 7 on this green line. And you can see a negative 2, 7 right there is not on the green line. It doesn't make the sentence true. We proved that algebraically here by just putting in the negative 2 and the 7 and seeing if it was true or false. You could also graph it if you want to waste all that time and do it. But that's what they're asking this question. If you were to do a T-chart and you put a negative 2 into this T-chart, would you get 7 for y? And you wouldn't because it's not on the line. So that's how they ask those questions on multiple choice tests. All right, you did okay on that. You kind of picked up on that the second time around. That was good. Now the big thing today. And that is solving for y. And what that means. In the equations that I gave you the last few days, the y was always over here by itself. All the shortcuts we're going to do in Chapter 13, everything we talk about in Chapter 13, the y needs to be all by itself on the left side of the equal sign. There can't be anything else over here but the letter y. So when we say solve for y, it means get the y on the left side, put everything else over on the right side. And here we go. I'll give you 3 examples on this. I'm going to have you try a few on your own. I have y minus 4x equals 18x plus 6. That y is not by itself. I need to get it all alone. To do that, I got to move this to the other side of the equal sign. We've been doing that all year, but we've been doing it in a much easier way. It's a one-step equation in a sense. If we had y minus 4 equals 12, and I needed that to go to this side of the equal sign, that was a minus 4, so we did the opposite. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. Remember, we had to keep Hayden and I think Joey and a couple other people balanced. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Minus 4 and a plus 4, they cancel out. That y is now by itself, and it equals 16. That's getting the variable by itself. We're doing that today, but it's going to look different because we might be moving variables and doing some other things. It just gets to the next level of difficulty. So I'm going to bring these 4x's over here. That's a minus 4x. You got to do the opposite of that. You got to add a 4x to both sides. You have to put that x there. Don't put just add 4. Okay, because a minus 4x and a plus 4x, they need to be opposites to cancel out. It's got to be the same term. So those will cancel out. Now I got the y. There's my equal sign. Now this is combining like terms. We've combined like terms this year. We're going to do it again. That coefficient of 18 and that coefficient of 4 get added together. It's 22x plus 6. And that's solving for y. We got the variable y all by itself and put everything else on the right side. Here's another one. I got 3y minus 8 equals 12x plus a negative 6. I want to get that y all by itself. To do that, I got to get this 8 over here. I got to get that 3 over here. I want the y all by itself. Here we go. First, I'm going to move this 8 over here. That's a minus 8, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add 8. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. Those cancel. So I have 3y equals 12x, negative and a positive. The signs are different. If they're different, you subtract, take the sign of the larger. So I subtract those and get 2. 8's bigger than 6. So I got plus 2. Here's going to be the new part then. I got that 3y over there. Well, let's back it up to what we did earlier this year. We had problems that were 3y equals 15. And we said the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we divided by 3 to both sides, cancel, and y equals 5. Same thing's going to go on here. That 3 is being multiplied to that y, so you got to do the opposite of multiplying. I got to divide by 3. Here's the new part, though, is we got to divide everything on this side of the equal sign by 3. So I got to divide the 12 by 3. I have to divide that 2 by 3. If there was a 15w over here, I would divide that by 3. Everything gets divided by 3. Those cancel. The y is now all by itself. That's solving for y. Get that y all by itself. 12 divided by 3 is 4x, plus 2 divided by 3 is just 2/3. You can leave it as 2/3. That'll work. So, today, I want you to practice solving for y, so Monday during our conference, I can go over those and we get an understanding what that means. And then we're going to talk about a few other little tricks about graphing lines so we don't have to do T-charts. Let me show you one more of those. So I got solve for y and then graph. On 2 of your questions today, I'm going to ask you to do a quick graph because I want to start to see some relationships between equations and graphs. So here we go. I got y minus 2x plus 7 equals x plus 12. I want this to be all by itself. So I got to get these things over here. So let's move this plus 7 first. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and I got to match it up with its like term. That's a constant, this is a constant, so those go together. 7 minus 7 is 0. I still have y minus 2x equals x plus 12 minus 7 is 5. Now I got to get this 2x over here. That's a minus 2x, so I'm going to do the opposite of that. I'm going to add a 2x. I'm going to grab that whole term, that 2x term, and bring it over here. So whatever I do to the left side, do to the right side. Minus 2x and a plus 2x, that equals 0. The y is now by itself. That's what our goal was, get the y by itself. Remember, there is a 1 in front of every variable. The coefficient of that x is 1. I I have one X here, and I have two more X's down here, so that's a total of 3 X's, and add 5. Now I want you to graph that. That would be a T-chart. So I cheated and did that ahead of time. So y equals 3x plus 5. Use your numbers, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Substitute them in and graph the line. And there's the line. Now, my question for you guys, what we're going to want to discover, take a second and look at these two graphs. We got y equals 3x plus 5, y equals 4x plus 10. I have some points here. Pause your video, find the slope of this line. Find the slope of this line. See if there's any connection at all between the slope of the line of that equation and the slope of that line and that equation. Second thing I want you to see if you can figure out. See if there's a relationship between finding the slopes and the equations, and ask yourself, where does that line cross the y-axis? Where does this line cross the y-axis? And you see that spot anywhere in these equations. So, pause your video, find the slope, see if there's any relationship going on between slope and the equation, and also where does it cross the y-axis? Just a couple things that's going to lead us into our discussion on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday of this week. All right, so today, solve some equations for y. You have to graph a couple little review questions. We'll conference on Monday. I got the schedule right on this paper for you. I think first hour you're at 9:30 again, third hour 10:15. I started fifth and sixth hour a little earlier tomorrow. Hope that works out. All right, give this a shot on Sunday night. We'll see you guys on Monday at our conferences. All right, see you then. Bye.